We hit 1,000. We hit 1,000. La da 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 da. We hit 1,000. We hit 1,000. Now what are we gonna do? Seriously, what are we gonna do now? Oh, I've got an idea.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to the 1,000 subscribers special edition of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. We hit our goal. We hit our goal about 3 months early, actually. Our goal from the beginning was to set up to where we can maybe get 1,000 subscribers by September. All right, seriously, we really thought that. So we want it to be an aggressive goal. That's what we said, an aggressive goal to get to 1,000 subscribers by September. Well, here it is in June, and we have passed that number. Now, what exactly does that mean? Anyway, I am Stephen Willis, the host of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, and my Twitter handle is @TheStephenWillis. Follow me for all kinds of commentary and everything goes on. I have pretty much an opinion about everything. And, us, we're all about perspectives and commentary. You can get it all there, too, on the Twitter handle. So, and also, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, in which we just hit 1,000 subscribers. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell for notifications and new videos going up, which happens quite frequently, and probably will happen more now that we've hit 1,000. And if we hit 2,000, even more then. And, of course, upvote the video itself. We appreciate it very much. So, a big day, honestly, for the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. And this is, Ole Miss has left yesterday morning for Omaha. They are in Omaha now. They're going to do their practice. There's the hay is kind of in the barn for that. We are going to be doing post-game live from the palatial Central Florida studios and from Texas and from North Mississippi. We're going to have 4 of our personalities breaking down the game, 30 to 45 minutes after the game, and we're going to go for about 30 to 45 minutes. We're not going to do a marathon session. We're going to respect your time a little bit. But we are going to talk about Ole Miss baseball because everybody is going to want to do that. So we will talk about the Ole Miss Auburn game. Also, in the comment section below, Zach Blackerby offered to come on the postgame show. Is that something you guys would be interested in? Leave a message down below. If you want to hear from the Auburn perspective of the game, let me know. If not, I won't have him on. But if y'all want him on, I can get him on for the postgame show as well. But I just didn't want to assume there. But 1,000 subscriptions by June 15th, by the Ides of June. And at this point, you just want to double it. The next goal will obviously be 2,000 subscriptions. The quicker we can get there, the better. But if we don't make it there, we will eventually do it. But once we hit 2,000 subscriptions, we're running a poll right now. And, and it's in the community section of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast on YouTube. And it is also on Twitter. My Twitter address is below. We are basically doing a scoping poll. And in that poll, if we hit 2,000 subscribers before football season, and honestly, if we hit it after, whenever we hit 2,000 subscribers, what do you want? Because that'll be your reward. And I tell everybody, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you have, tell a friend to subscribe. And we can either do a pregame show if we have it before football season. We can do a pregame show. Now, again, not a 4-hour marathon thing, just 30, 45 minutes of the brief storylines that you need to pay attention to. We could do a midweek review show where we look back on the weekend that just happened and also a little bit ahead to the next weekend. Again, football centric. We're 90% football on this channel. If you followed us for any period of time, you would know that. And The last one is a non-revenue sports show. So we'll talk about women's basketball. We'll talk about golf. We'll talk about softball. We'll talk about baseball. Those sports will kind of get their due. And that is our plan, to do kind of one of those 3 shows once we hit 2,000 subscribers, which at this rate will be happening by the end of the year. But we're going to grow organically, and we're going to keep doing this. That's the important and impressive thing about all this. Everybody looks like, Steve, you only have 1,000 subscribers. And that is absolutely true. I just have 1,000 subscribers. But everybody else has a subscriber base to pull from, to where their show becomes an extra feature. This was completely new. We had to go out and find people to consume this media. Completely starting from scratch. We had to find which vehicle that was the best way to kind of promote this content. And the Locked On network absolutely fit that bill. And we have other hosts and everything we're going to bring on. I think I'm going to try and get John Neighbors from Locked On Arkansas if Ole Miss and Arkansas meet in the second game, just as a plan for what's going on. But, dude, I am really, really excited. I mean, I'm unbelievably happy. I literally thought whenever I set the goal to 1,000 subscriptions that, we would have like 950 on Labor Day, and we'd have to decide, well, is that close enough? Do we need to do it? Well, at this point, it's a go. We have, we're going to do the Omaha Live thing. We're going to do it immediately. As you can see from the YouTube page, it's up there. You can see it. It is the Rebels in Middle America, that thumbnail. If you click on that and hit the bell and be notified whenever that goes up, you will not miss it. We're going to do it like 30 to 45 minutes after the game. Basically, we got to get everybody on board and everybody where they need to be, on all that stuff. And then we're going to go for about 30 to 45 minutes. Over here will be a chat thing. You can, the YouTube thing will have a chat as well, I think. But I don't know which one, either the YouTube chat or the comments, will end up on the Restream chat. So we're going to have to trial and error it the first little bit to find out what's going on. So bear with us there. We're going to have a good time. But we got some very, very unique perspectives on Ole Miss sports. My whole point is perspectives and commentary. You've known this from the beginning. We are not a news organization. We just want to talk about what's important to Ole Miss people. That's what we want to do. We don't care what happens or any rumors that are going on behind the scenes. We start talking about it when it's time to talk about it. And since that is the thing, we can handle the whole sphere of Ole Miss sports. It's not just the Ole Miss sports that we talk about. We can even talk about the people that are actually talking about it. They're bringing up the rumors and starting a narrative around Ole Miss sports. I mean, this is really cool. This is a really cool thing, and this is unlike anything I think that is out there. And my whole thing is, you never copy somebody whenever you want to do something. Try and do something yourself. I had the ability to try this, and I want to thank everybody that has subscribed thus far, and everybody that will subscribe, and the efforts you will have to bring other people into this essentially movement that want to make Ole Miss, following Ole Miss sports fun again. Because for the longest time it wasn't. There was a 10-year period where it was just all fear-based reporting and everything else. And you just think it's like, I just don't want to do this. I don't want to put up with that. And we don't do that. We do not play that game. We're not, content is not beholden to the subscriber, which means we don't have to report based on extreme emotions. That's the cool thing there. The extreme emotions need to go. We can kind of do this down the middle the way it's supposed to be done, but there's no money next to content. There's no access that we want to have. There's no information sources that we are relying upon. and you take away those three, you can actually tell what's happening. You don't have to tell a story and frame a story based on how it will make you the most money. You not frame a story based on will this person's feelings be hurt, and will he stop talking to you. You don't have to frame a story to where will the athletic department be upset that I'm reporting on this because I really need to get into practice. We don't do that, and we kind of have a unique thing in the fact that we are not trying to do that. And because we can do this, we have the benefit of constructing this just the way we want to do it. Not everybody can do this. I understand that. Not everybody can do that. The fact that essentially I just do not need anybody's subscriptions. I do not need the money. I don't live anywhere near Ole Miss, so access is stupid, for me. Whenever, close every practice for all I care. And the boosters that try and carry a heavy stick around Oxford and Jackson for self-important reasons, I don't need them either. It doesn't matter. It's crazy. I'll tell you a story real quick. Whenever I was working for Rivals.com back in the day, I went to that dreaded Ole Miss Vanderbilt game. I think it was in 2011 where Vandy beat Ole Miss like 30-0. James Franklin did that. It was the Zach Stout game that he threw interceptions all over the place. And after the game, the heat really turned up on Houston Nutt. So phone calls were coming in all over the place. All these rich, powerful boosters were calling in to their favorite media source to volunteer information to where, Houston Nutt's done. We're going to make sure, he's going to do that. But the funny thing is, whenever they would hang up the phone, they would make fun of the boosters almost immediately. Whoever volunteers that information, understand that they make fun of them for having an opinion on the subject as well. And it turns into a big, giant soap opera, and it was just something that I didn't want to get into. Not even a little bit. So I was trying to think of a way that I could cover and talk about Ole Miss sports without having to deal with news. And what you have is here, what we're doing. And we've got 1,000 subscribers, and we're growing over 6 months, and we're on pace for 2,000 by the end of the year. And we honestly should just keep growing this because this is really cool. Anyway, we're going to have Cara McCutcheon coming up a little bit later on today. We're going to obviously talk about football because we try to talk about football. The only time we didn't, we ended up going to Omaha, so that was a special occasion. But we're going to talk about football and specifically Jaden Rashada. And I know John Garcia is not on the show this week. He'll be back next week to talk recruiting and all of that. But real quick, I do want to tell you about the mud pie from Built Bar. Somebody actually made fun of me for the way I said mud pie yesterday. So hopefully I don't mess this up today. You know how our friends at Built are always coming out with amazing new flavors? Well, this time Built has truly outdone themselves with their mud pie flavor. And for the first time ever, Built is introducing the new mud pie flavor in both bars and puffs. Not sure what mud pie tastes like? Well, if you're a chocolate fan, you better sit down for this. The mud pie bar is rich with whipped cream and chocolate mousse, smothered in 100% real chocolate topped with cookies and cream crumble. You've got to try the mud pie as soon as possible, and if you need to hurry, because the mud pie and mud pie puff are only available for a limited time. Visit Built to taste the deliciousness for yourself. So here's the offer. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, that's LOCKED15, all one word, to get 15% off your order. Use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, we have an important favor to ask you. We've put together a survey so we can learn more about the listeners like you and make your favorite Locked On podcast even better. This is your opportunity to tell us what you like about us and what you don't. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey right now to get started. It won't take very long, and everyone that completes a survey can qualify for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. To take our audience survey, go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. Thanks for your help. All right, so we talked about basically us surprisingly in June hitting 1,000 subscribers, and I'm going to be over the moon about that for pretty much the foreseeable future. So bear with me on that. But I do want to talk about Jaden Rashada, and Jaden Rashada had a top 3 for a long time, and then it turned into a top 7. He actually visited Florida. A&M's on the list. And all of that. And this is what you need to know about Jaden Rashada. There are going to be experts that tell you that Ole Miss needs a high school quarterback every now and then, which is probably true, but it's not do or die, okay? Do not put all your eggs in the Jaden Rashada basket, just like you didn't put all your eggs in the Arch Manning basket. Remember, we have the Gatorade National Player of the Year sitting on campus right now. He's a sophomore. The need for a quarterback right now is not overwhelming. This is not me making any type of excuse or any type of sour grapes or anything like that. And I don't know any information about where Jaden Rashada is going to go. This is me letting you know the actual real. The important thing with high school recruiting, and this is all high school recruits, anything, the same thing. We actually started this 3 years ago, but the important thing is to finish in the top 2. People say, well, why the top 2, Steve? Well, you need to finish in the top 2 because the one-time transfer in the transfer portal where you can leave and out. Because 18-year-old stuff is going to happen. You're going to be an 18-year-old and you're just going to have to deal with it. You're going to have a rough go and you're going to transfer away. I mean, Ole Miss ended up with Jackson Dart and Michael Trigg and Zach Evans, very highly rated people, because 18, 19-year-old stuff happened. There might be a place that's going there for a coach, and the coach is gone. What do you do then? Do you follow them where they go? What happens then? Well, most of the time you go to where the school that was number 2 in your recruitment. And that's why the top 2 becomes important. Because if you go to 1 and then you transfer to 2, there's no transferring from 2. You're there for the duration of your experience in college. So understand that anytime with a high school recruit, the top 2 is the goal. I know it doesn't make much sense and you can't really cover that if you are a recruiting service, but it's turned into almost the truth. And with everything going on, everybody is trying to be uber hyperbolic about everything. Nothing is down the middle. Nothing is just okay anymore. It's either very good or very bad. And that's just the way society is at the moment. But this transfer portal rule is kind of down the middle. Now, people are going to say, and understand this, they want football back to the way it was in 2004, 2005. Back in the heyday, what was going on. That's what they understand. There was no effort required to learn something new. You had relationships with players and you collected coaches, and all of this happened to where the players around a college town was a very big deal. In Alabama, the A-Day thing where they do the running of the Gumps down the field, and Meet the Rebels Day. These were all big things. Understand that they're going to be less and less. Players and coaches are not going to stick around like they used to. People that tried to collect them are in for a little bit of a surprise. So, Jaden Rashada and everything, don't misunderstand me. That would be an absolutely huge to get him. He has a chance to be the number 1 quarterback in the country this year. He probably won't get it because of his last name, and that is somebody that is saying that with that lower third up there. I do not understand how the number one player in the country can just not do Elite 11 and remain number one in the country. There's no repercussions for not doing anything. We have become so risk averse as a society that stuff like this is just okay. It's to be expected. But instead of him going out there and competing against somebody like Jaden Rashada, Nico Imaleva, any of those guys, he gets to just kind of sit in the background and be number one in the country door to door. And I don't think anybody deserves that. I think competitors compete. And I've said over, Ole Miss got into the baseball tournament probably because they did not play Arkansas State. I will admit that. I also will still admit, even in this situation with Ole Miss going to the College World Series, I hate that move. Competitors compete. If it's on your schedule in front of you, you compete. And that's just the way it is. Now, people are going to talk about the end result and everything. That is fine. That absolutely, I get it. But the risk adverse that this society has become almost is becoming less and less fun. It's at the point where you can do things like we're doing on this show, to where you just put yourself out there a little bit and you're the unicorn. People don't want to do this because they're afraid of the backlash that might come. You might say something, in a show like this that you go back to regret. And it's going to get the point where 5 or 10 years down the road, a person like me doing this will be an absolute unicorn. Because people are so afraid to fail. It's amazing that they're afraid to fail. And they don't even realize that there are no consequences for failing. If you fail, you're in exactly the same position that you were before you started. But people, I don't know. It's like the Spider-Man No Way Home thing, and I just hated this. Where she says if you lower your expectations, you're never disappointed. And that's just a stupid mindset. You can't achieve doing that. You can just exist. And that doesn't make sense to me. Never has. But, to each their own. And if they want to do that, and if that makes them happy, of course, do it. But I just don't get it. Just absolutely don't get it. Anyway, after the break, we have Cara McCutcheon, who's going to talk about the Rebs in Omaha. We're going to do social media. We're going to have a good time talking about all that. Again, 1,000 subscribers to the channel. Thank you very much. Anyway, we're going to take this short break, and we will be right back. All right, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes. You can talk about how little I know about what I'm talking about, but my guests are pretty cool. An example of that is right here. Cara McCutcheon is joining us all the way from Texas. Huge Astros fan, by the way. How you doing, Cara?
Doing great. Happy to be back on. Super excited about Omaha. Or Omaha.
Yeah, let's start there. You tried for 3 days and researched a little bit how to get up to Omaha. Tell everybody what the price is and how that looked, how expensive it was.
So from Texas, flights were about $900 up. Not even just to fly into Omaha, but to surrounding areas. So Lincoln, all that, it was about $900 up. So we were thinking, okay, we'll just drive. We finally found a hotel in Lincoln, Nebraska, that would probably been about $500 for a 2-night stay. So after kind of going through everything for game tickets, getting there, making it by the 6 o'clock and getting in, we kind of decided, okay, let's actually be proactive and start reserving for if we make it to the championship. So we're actually kind of now looking at championship weekend and driving instead of flying. I know gas prices are crazy, but for us, the flight prices are just craziness. So we're now looking at driving, but we're looking now to go, if we by chance make it to the championship. We're looking to reserving now. We've seen hotels still in the 300 range per night. So they've kind of are a little bit down. They are starting to rise, but in the instance you want to reserve a room, they've still been pretty low and available for that last weekend.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious about that because you mentioned on Twitter about going through all that, and I just wanted to hear a firsthand account of that. Now let's get back to our topics that we have planned. And one of the things we wanted to talk about was the weird relationship that is Lane Kiffin and Tennessee. I mean, it's just bizarre.
You know, you get two sides of Tennessee fans. You get the ones who are like, hey, I'll never say it out loud, but I'd take Lane Kiffin back. And then you get the fans that just ultimately cannot stand, do not like Lane Kiffin. And it's really funny to see his interaction on Twitter with them because he really just plays the villain so well. Like, he has just captured that villain role and just rolls with it. I mean, we saw this with Bryson Sanders this week. He shared the official visit after he talked about Ole Miss going to Omaha after Tennessee lost. Like, he kind of put that in there to a Tennessee fan. Like, he just plays the victim so well, and it just does not seem to bother him that the Tennessee fans are not his biggest ones.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, Tennessee fans randomly tweeting at him. And, like, he's just going to remember that. He's going to pull it up later and just do some kind of a 31-26. I mean, he secretly was hoping Tennessee would lose so he could fire off those tweets, right?
Oh, 100%. Lane is always looking to do the little bit of a troll job. And he's good at it. I mean, he's funny and he gets more and more attention by it. I almost even think some of these recruits love it when they see this. But I just think that's Lane and he's going to do it.
And speaking of Lane, we've done the transfer portal over and over, but there is a high school element to recruiting, and we're actually doing fairly well for 2023. They just got a commitment from Bryson Sanders, the offensive lineman from Chattanooga. What do you have to say about that?
You know what? I've been following the Bryson Sanders, and I kind of was leaning that he was going to come this way. He seemed to really like it. The one thing I like about Bryson Sanders is he's so quick to already start trying to bring in other guys, other offensive linemen to come join him at Ole Miss, and just seeing how much he's already connected to the school, that he's already trying to bring in other recruits to come and join him and play there. We're seeing, was it with Wilkin? Formerly, was that Wilkin? Maybe I'm saying his name wrong. But he's already trying to bring him to come commit. He's trying to bring
the offensive lineman out of Tuscaloosa, right?
Yes. So he's saying like, hey, teammate. And he's really already, there's even a graphic already of the two of them. And so he's really pushing. And that's something you want out of a recruit. You want them to be so dialed in that they're already looking to bring in other guys.
Yeah, and I have no information on this. But I think Bryson Sanders, there was a little bit of coattails off of Marcel Reed. It's both of a Tennessee private school kids. And I think there was a little bit of coattail. I could be completely wrong. But I think Bryson Sanders, Marcel Reed being at Ole Miss helped him coming to Ole Miss. And both of them are going to tag team area kids for high school recruiting.
And that's really what we want. As we're kind of seeing Rashada slowly be more towards, at least for verbal and for now, towards Florida, we really need Marcel Reed to kind of step up in that role and start giving some of those offensive guys, interested and wanting to come play with him and working with him. And I think both of those guys are doing a good job. And that's what you really want from your recruits, is for them to start recruiting as well, like to other teammates, other guys they're meeting, other guys they know that maybe aren't decided yet. Hey, come join up with us. This is what we're doing. I mean, that's really the best form of line there that you're wanting in recruiting, is word of mouth from these guys who've already joined on. Like, this is what I see with Lane. This is what I like. This is what I want to work towards. Like, I want you to work towards that with me. Like, that's what you want.
Yeah, and it should be good, because there is an emphasis on high school recruiting. There are so many people that look at high school recruiting and Lane Kiffin and kind of dismiss it. There is an element to it. Even with the transfer portal, you need both. It's a symbiotic relationship. And I think those guys, the most development ready position is offensive line. offensive linemen always need development. And because of that, they're actually pretty good at doing it. And if they could get him and the kid from Tuscaloosa, they could have a nice little core to go with Marcel Reed and Suntarine Perkins and those guys.
Yeah, if we can keep Perkins, and so far it looks good, if we can keep Perkins, that'll be huge. We just got to keep him out of Alabama.
Yeah. And he visited Mississippi State. Whenever people visit all these schools now, I tell people all the time, just calm down. In the age of NIL, it's due diligence. You're not going to have a kid take one visit and sign immediately. They're going to take all of their schools because, honestly, it just makes sense. It's good business. Whenever a recruit says it's a business decision, now it kind of really is.
I agree. I think with Perkins, though, if we can keep him out of Alabama, he kind of was like, oh, that's my dream bid. If we can keep him out of Alabama and keep him, that's a real testament to Lane's recruitment.
Yeah, and Suntarine at Ole Miss is going to be up towards the top of the class. Suntarine at Alabama would be about 15. So that should be pretty interesting to see as well. Also, a little bit of news came out today. Big Game Boomer released its list of best podcasts per school around the country, and the Ole Miss entrant ended up being Locked on Ole Miss. Now, I really like that they didn't say most listened to or anything like that. They said best, which quality really means a lot to me, and there's not many places that rate podcasts like this, so any recognition you get is a great thing. But you brought that to attention, and you and Tom and Derek are big parts of what we do on this channel, and y'all deserve probably as much credit as me with what everything's going on. But yeah, it's really cool. After 6 months, we kind of grew up and kind of right before everybody's eyes.
Well, also as a testament to all the hard work you're doing, everyday material, bringing on people. So very much congratulations to you, and just a testament to all the work you put in.
Yeah, thank you. And congratulations on being the Twitter handle, the best follow and on the Ole Miss fan base. We're kind of doing some work here on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, with Big Game Boomer. Apparently he's a fan. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely a shock there. Do not know if I consider myself that, but was very humbled by it. And so hope people like to tune in. I like to talk Ole Miss, so.
Yeah, and to let everybody know, while I've got you on, we are going to do, I don't know if I'm calling it Omaha Live or Post-Game Live or whatever. Immediately after the ball game, we're going to be doing about a 30 to 45-minute post-game show with Cara, with Tom, and with Derek Vandy Griff. We're going to give our different perspectives on the ball game, and you can kind of make your own decision of exactly how you should feel, and hopefully it'll be really fun and you can actually enjoy this College World Series to the max, I think, Cara.
Yes, I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited for all things Omaha. Super excited here with Derek and Tom. Derek and I talk a lot of baseball, so super excited. In fact, the two of us probably talk every game, and a lot of interaction differences there. So I'm a little more superstitious, and Derek is a little more positive than I am, a little more optimistic than I am sometimes.
Yeah, well, a little inside baseball to everybody that's watching the show. I'm also going to be the producer for this this broadcast. So in order to get breaks in and things like that, this is going to be a first-time thing. So it will get better, it will get smoother, but there are probably going to be some hiccups along the way. It should be a lot of fun, but I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody as well. All right. Anyway, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen today. Now make your second listen the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast. Raphael Barlow, Richard Strayman, Sam Ferris, and Leif Tholen give fans an in-depth look into the biggest prospects, the latest player rankings, and, of course, big boards. Locked On NBA Big Board every day on the Audacity app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Cara, thank you so much for stopping by today. I look forward to us talking next week. Maybe we're getting ready for a championship series. We'll see how this weekend plays out.
Thanks, Steven. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.